Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ryan Suter. I'm one of the senior investment managers here at Sharewise, and we're here with Paul. Now, Paul's the managing director of the Zoono Group. Thank you very much for your time today, Paul. Paul's going to give us a rundown of the company and how it's progressing at the moment, and then we're going to open it up to a bit of a Q&A. Now, I've got some questions here just to get things going after the presentation. And if any participants would like to send in any questions for me to ask Paul, please do so through the Q&A function at the bottom of Zoom. Paul, it's all yours.
Okay, so welcome everybody. Quite a few from Australia, so good morning to Australia and good afternoon to New Zealand. So what I really want to specifically talk about is the shelf life extension project, which is a joint venture between Zoono and a distributor of ours from the UK called OSY Group, based in Manchester. So when the pandemic ended and COVID became a dirty word, and our business really, as you're all aware, fell off a cliff. Okay, so we had to try and reinvent ourselves on some specific markets that would deliver long-term sustainable income to the company and repeat orders every month. So OSY and Zoono collaborated to develop a new formulation that was to go on food packaging to extend shelf life. Now, back in 2012, we had done some work on this previously, but it was very hard to get the supermarkets to buy into, because in those days, food waste wasn't an issue. Greenhouse gas emissions weren't an issue either. So now they're all an issue because of the cost of the food and the emissions problem as well. So we developed a product 2.5 years ago. One of the directors of OSY had a very good contact in one of the largest supermarkets in the UK and one of the biggest brands in the UK. So we started to work with them on developing a product that would go on their food packaging and help extend the life. So the initial testing was all extremely successful, and we had to tick the boxes off one by one. First thing, it had to show efficacy. It had to be able to be recycled. It had to be able to be satisfy regulatory requirements. So we had to go through all these issues, and it really took 2 years for us to develop a full product dossier. So the particular company that we were doing all the trials with, and I'm sorry that it is confidential, we have now entered into a commercial arrangement with them where they have made quite a significant commitment in the next 12 months on product purchases, and they have also agreed to act as our global advocate for other markets as well. So just to give you an idea of the potential here, like we did some initial testing on raspberries. And raspberries are a big issue in the supermarkets. Obviously, you've all bought raspberries. They're a high value item and they go off reasonably quickly. So this particular supermarket chain sold 150 million punnets of raspberries a year. So if we could get 1 to 2 days extra shelf life on the raspberries, they would save 11 million pounds. That would be their saving. The cost in saving 11 million pounds would be about £1 million to coat the trays. So who wouldn't spend $1 million to save 11 million? It's an easy scenario, but what was important for us was we had to get the efficacy, we had to show the testing. So when we took this process to other parts of the world, we had reliable data to show people. If you haven't got the data, you haven't got anything, and they want a lot of data, these people too. So recently we've been we've been in Australia and we've been opening up opportunities in Australia. The CEO of OSY was in Australia and he met with some of the largest food packaging companies in Australia and some of the larger supermarket and wholesale fruit and vegetable suppliers as well. So it's fair to say that there's extreme interest in this because Zoono becomes, well, it's the new brand, which is a 722 brand, becomes a profit center rather than a cost to a supermarket chain. Our customers ultimately will become the packaging companies who supply the supermarkets. The product is applied at the manufacturing facility where the trays are made, and it's sprayed onto the foam and plastic rolls before it's punched out into trays. So reasonably simple process. And look, eventually I believe that that this is a significant change for Zoono. It's a big directional change, and it's a potentially huge revenue earner for the company. And more importantly, once you get into these industrial cycles, they're going to be buying product off you every month. So we've got customers in the UK already, soon to have our customers in Europe. We've got the potential customers in Singapore and Australia, where we're going to be entering into some trials shortly. The trials won't be 2 years. They might be 4 weeks to 6 weeks. We won't have to go through all the work we've done previously. So it'll be a much shortened trial process from here on in. Just talking a bit about the our technology itself, like most of you will be aware of our technology, that it's designed to go onto a surface, it bonds to a surface, and it protects the surface from microbial contamination. Well, in a food package, it's just the same, okay? It sprayed onto the surface. What actually ages the fruit is the gases and the juice that actually seeps out of the fruit. So it seeps out onto the tray, it'll cause microbial contamination, and if our product's on the tray, it will knock it dead, okay? So it will extend the shelf life. So really, that is it in a nutshell. It can go onto all types of packaging, rigid trays, soft trays, fiber board, outer packaging, inner packaging. So the other opportunities here are the whole supply chain. So there's the supply chain from the farm to the trucks, the packaging plants, and right into the cool stores, and then onto the trays in the supermarket themselves. So eventually we're going to be doing the whole supply chain, and the supermarkets who are the customers are asking for that, to have it through the whole supply chain. Because as you can imagine, with the global logistics at the moment, the fruit and vegetables that are produced in India, for instance, they can't go through the Suez Canal to the UK anymore. They've got to go around South Africa. So they're in the container for about another 10 days. So there's a lot more opportunity for that fruit and vegetable to ripen too quickly. And it's the same with produce that's been shipped out of Australia. Normally it'll go from Australia to Singapore, it'll change ships in Singapore, and then it'll go on to Europe and the UK. Traditionally, that's been about a 3.5 week shipping time. It's now a 5.5 week shipping time. So there's a lot more opportunity for things to go wrong. So the 722 product, which is a joint collaboration between OSY and Zoono, is a new formulation. It's tried and tested. We can manufacture the product in the UK, and in New Zealand as well. So it'll be manufactured in 2 locations. The agreement that Zoono has with OSY is they have global exclusively on this technology. They are really the sales and the marketing arm, and we support them from a technical point of view. That's how the relationship will work. And they get 25% of all invoiced sales goes back to OSY. And we also have them on an incentive program as well, where they can earn up to 1.5 million shares a year in bonus shares. Now, you'll also be aware that we did a recent capital raise. OSY invested $500,000 in the capital raise as well. So they came in as a placement. So the companies are well and truly tied together. So look, I think I've probably said enough. We've got about 15 minutes to go. I'm sure there's some questions. Ryan, I'll let you handle the questions.
Thank you very much, Paul. Really appreciate that one. I'm just going to pull up some questions. So I've got a couple just to get things started. I've got a couple that have been pre-sent in from some viewers. If anybody else has any others, let me know and I'll ask away. So just to get things started, obviously, you've just revealed this antimicrobial product. And obviously, you've discussed using fruit as an example. Is there a specific segment of that market in which you're targeting? And how does that segment, how is it going to be achieved in, actually targeting that specific market segment?
Yeah, look, it's the berry fruits in particular initially, and some of the stone fruits. But now, I talked some numbers before about the potential savings of 1 to 2 days. That was just on one group. That was just on raspberries only. Okay, so we will eventually do all the fruits. We'll eventually go into the vegetables as well, and into the meats, fish, poultry, red meat, pork, chicken, all the meats as well. So we'll be doing some trials on those other food groups. We've already done trials in the past and it's been successful again, but as I said to you, there was no demand for it back then, but there's a big demand for it now. Next question.
Okay. So obviously, it sounds pretty good. And you think about it, in 3 to 5 years' time, if the product comes out and it's working with applications, there's potential for it to be applied worldwide, right? You've showed us example of a couple of tests. Is there any other evidence that you can tell investors today regarding how effective it is?
Well, look, it's been extremely effective, to be honest. Like it's showing up to 3 to 4 days in some instances, shelf life extension. Now, that is enormous for a supermarket. To be able to get an extra 1 to 2 days in the core store before it goes onto the shelves, and then an extra 2 to 3 days in the store itself is very meaningful. It's significant. Okay, and we've got our first commercial customer now. We're expecting their reasonably significant initial order in the next 2 to 3 weeks, but that they do have a signed commitment. But we've got a lot of other customers who will follow the leader. This particular group is a global leader, and there will be others who will follow the leader. And the packaging companies who supply this particular supermarket chain have got very interested in the technology as well. Like how interesting can you make a food pack? Okay, it's a fairly boring little object. Okay, but if they can put our product on the food tray and they can upsell the food tray to their customers all around the world, it's a way for them to get more margin on the food tray as well. So everyone makes money all the way through. And just to give you an idea, on a raspberry tray, a raspberry pack, we add about 1.5p to the cost of the pack. 1.5.
Okay.
I'm talking English pounds here, and
Yeah.
raspberries in the UK retail for about £2.50 to £3 a pack. So it's really insignificant for what it delivers.
Gotcha. Okay. So you've just demonstrated that there's interest coming from the grocers, there's interest coming from the packaging. Is there any other market interest involved?
Yeah, there'll be the transportation industry as well. Okay, and there'll be the farmers as well, of course. Okay, so it starts with the farmers, okay, because they don't want their product arriving in the UK and it's gone off, okay, because they don't get paid. Okay, so it starts with the farmers, then it goes to the transportation companies, then it goes to the packaging companies themselves, then it goes into the supermarkets. So it's a whole supply chain that we are targeting.
Okay. Okay. So that wraps up. Thank you for those. That wraps up my questions. We're just going to move to questions for viewers. Now, individual asks, is the new technology that you guys have discussed, is it patented currently?
We have patent applications in on the formulations, okay, and we have patent applications going in on the process.
Okay. When do you expect to hear back regarding the patent applications?
Well, the applications have only just gone in. We've had the patent applications in on the formulations for a while, and they're pending. Okay, they're all patent pending, but the actual application process itself, we're just finalising at the moment.
Thank you very much for that update. Now, moving on, will this new product be able to utilise the existing large stock we have on land and therefore reduce obsolescence risk?
Yeah, well, basically, we manufacture a concentrate. Okay, now that is a Zoono specific product, and that is our IP. We can convert that concentrate into the 722 product. So it will eat up our raw material.
Okay. Okay. Now, obviously, if the product is planning to go global, there'll be an issue with compliance nationally and regulations not being aligned. How do you plan to comply with European food packaging regulations as opposed to US regulations?
Okay, we OSY engaged a group in the UK 2 years ago, and the product, the way it's applied as a packaging coating, is fully compliant in most markets in the world, okay, including Australia, New Zealand, UK, Europe, US, Canada, South Africa, and they're the markets we're targeting, really. So we are fully compliant.
Okay, and does that compliance, is that attached with food contact regulations specifically?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Now, regarding the UK order that you've mentioned, is this an annual order, a 6-month, a quarterly order?
Well, once the packaging companies start to buy it, they sort of have to keep buying it. Okay, so it will be a monthly order. So we expect monthly or quarterly orders.
Okay. Okay. And when does Zoono see the money coming to the bottom line from the current UK deal?
Okay, look, it's going to be another couple of months before the revenue starts to hit our bank account. Okay, because these companies want credit terms as well. They don't pay the money up front, so they'll pay 30 days after the invoice, or 20 of the month following, which is a UK thing. So by sort of August, September, I believe we'll have quite strong cash flows coming in. And then remember, we're talking to a lot of other companies as well, and the other companies will accept a lot of the work that we've already done. So we don't have to start from scratch again every time we sign up a new customer. And the company in the UK are prepared to act as our global advocate, so that they're prepared to actually talk to the local companies in Australia or Singapore or South Africa or the USA, wherever.
Thank you
They're
for
going to
that
help
one.
us sell it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, just moving on to a different component of Zoono regarding the poultry virus protection. There's a couple of investors that would like an update on what's happened to that project in particular.
Sorry, what project is that?
The poultry virus protection project.
Well, yeah, look, we're working in Australia on that at the moment. We're doing testing one of the universities there so we can get regulatory sign off in Australia so we can make a 30-day claim in poultry sheds. To be honest, the agricultural area is a hard market. It's reactionary rather than protectionary. Okay, so they wait until they have an issue and then they react, whereas our product is all about stopping an issue in the first place. So it's been a hard one. It's been a hard one to break into, to be honest. It's been a hard one.
Of course. Just shifting back to what we've been discussing for the majority of the day, what industry publications will be used to promote OSY soft fruit outcomes?
Well, we don't really require a lot of industry publications. We only need 10 customers globally. Okay.
Yep.
If we have 10 customers globally, that's all we need. And I tell you what's unusual in this business: the packaging companies ultimately become our customers, and they're all intertwined. They all seem to own pieces of each other. Like, we're dealing with one of the biggest packaging companies in Europe at the moment that supply all the supermarket chains in the EU and in the UK, and they are really hot to trot on the product. Similar in Australia as well, with the largest packaging company in Australia that's supplying to the Australian supermarkets. We've also got strong business possibilities in South Africa as well, and in other parts of the world. Canada, strong interest there as well.
Okay, thank you. Now, just discussing ownership. Obviously, OSI, you've just mentioned today, is a substantial partner and now holds 20 million shares, which has been informed is now greater than 5%. Yet OSY appear to have not lodged a substantial holder notice. Is there a particular reason why there is a hold-up, or do they technically not need to have lodged it as of yet?
I don't think they need to lodge it as of yet. Okay, but that's a good reminder for me to check. I'll check with the company secretary to see if they do need to lodge that. Like, we've got quite a few shares on issue now in the company because we've just raised $4 million. Yeah. So it may be that they're under the 5%, but I will check that for sure.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much for that one, Paul. That about wraps up the questions. Is there anything you'd like to add, Paul?
Look, I'd just like to add, I know it's been a rough time for everybody. Okay, it hasn't been easy, but look, I was confident enough to put another $1 million into this business of my own personal money. Okay, so I feel very strongly that look, our share price is low at the moment, but we've got plenty of money in the bank, and we've got a really good growth opportunity in the shelf life extension with OSY as our partner, and the companies are joined at the hip. We're working well together. We're working strongly together, and we really want to grow the business. For example, OSY raised £1 million in the UK from private investors over there for this project. They also got a significant amount of grant money from the UK government. Okay, so a lot of people are very excited about this technology, but look, we need to deliver. We need to get some large business in the door, and then we can start and shout from the rooftops. And we just have to do it stage by stage, bit by bit.
Of course. Of course. Thank you very much for the update, Paul. We've just got a couple more that have come in just to finish us off. So the half-year report had a number of initiatives, including, the food packaging as well as Chinese egg producer. Apparently orders were expected in March. Just wanted to check in and see how those were tracking.
Yeah, look, we're doing okay in China in the hygiene markets where we've signed up a large wholesale food company in China. We've got a lot of customers in the pipeline over there at the moment. The Chinese economy is tough, but we are making good progress in China at the moment, as we are in India also. Okay, so we've just sent our first significant shipment into India, and it's already half sold. And in India, they're spraying crops and flowers and fruit trees and mango trees and onions and tomatoes and all sorts of things. So I think India is going to be a good market for us as well. We set up our own company in India, a wholly owned subsidiary, as we did in China as well. So to get into the government business and the big business in India, you've got to become a local taxpayer, and that's what we have become. And setting those companies up in those two environments has been terribly complicated. Okay, they are very regulated environments. So to establish a company there and a board of directors there and an office and a warehouse, and it's been very complicated, but we're there now.
Well, that's really positive to hear. Now, just got one last question, right? Just before we wrap up, what is the company's current revenue break-even points? Okay, and when is that expected to be hit?
Okay, so we have significantly reduced our overheads in the last 18 months.
Okay.
Our break-even point is probably around $2 million a year. And that includes everything.
Yep.
Around $2 million.
As well as one last one again, is the London Underground still using Zoono? No, they're not.
Okay, but we're still in communication with them. And look, they love the product, but what happened was when COVID was over, we just fell off a cliff. Okay. Yeah. All our distributors went broke, most of them, or they shut down their businesses, and we lost, because COVID became such a dirty word. But every now and then it pops up again, and we're still in contact with all those old clients, and we make sure they know we're still there.
Well, thank you very much for the update, Paul, and thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for participating this afternoon and this morning. I really appreciate your time, Paul, and that about wraps everything up. This one will be distributed to the Sharewise YouTube channel, so if anyone would like to watch it at a later date, feel free to do so. And again, thank you very much for your time, Paul.
Look, and that's okay. And if any individual shareholders want to call me, they've got my phone number. Feel free to call me if you want some further clarification on anything, okay? I try and talk to people. It's hard to respond to all the emails sometimes, but pick up the phone and call me, okay?
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good day.